and the dedication to be here and committing to be here to share a little about their career field. Yeah, and just sowing a seed into the future generations. We would first like to begin with introductions. So, if you guys could introduce yourself, your career field, and one word to describe your relationship with your careers. Yeah.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. My name is Melissa, and I am a cosmetic formulator. What was the question again?
Oh, yeah, your career field, and one word to describe your relationship with you.
One word. Um, One word. Interesting, I would say. Brother Emmanuel.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Cronting. I'm a data scientist and cloud solutions architect. One word that I would use to describe my relationship with the stakeholders that I work with is collaboration.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, evening. My name is Jeremiah Ado. I work as a founder of a nonprofit where we do different type of philanthropy work and leadership and educational work. So one thing that I can describe my industry with is versatile. It's always changing. So yeah.
Hi, my name is Adriel, and I am a midwife by profession. I can't give one word, but I can say with women. Basically, I am with women all the time. That's it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Precious. I am a consultant, specifically an employee benefits consultant. And one word to describe my relationship with my career is evolving.
Hi, everyone. Are you guys not excited to be here? Hi. I love it. Yes. Well, hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. I am Lydia, and I am a family nurse practitioner. And one word to describe my relationship with my career is fulfilled.
Hi everyone. My name is Michael. I'm a medical doctor, and one word to describe my relationship with my job is fulfilling.
Hi everyone. My name is Yad, and by profession I'm a data analyst, but by training I'm an epidemiologist. And um, one word, because of the research that I do as an epidemiologist, I probably would say one word would just be research, really, because like that's kind of what I do. Research.
Research. Hello, everyone. My name is. No, you can leave the mic on. Yeah, we just leave it on. Okay. Yeah. No, he attended all this. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. My name is Gabriel. I am a nuclear medicine technologist, and one word that I would use to describe my relationship with my job is innovation.
We have the last panelist in his royal chair.
he who finds this kind of job has found a good job. But it's the it's one job that is full of joy, anxiety, dealing with people, all sorts of people, and ours is not a kind of job that you say want us to go to school to really be in a position to do what we're doing. It's a call. And once you are called, then it means that you can be asked to do anything from everything that all these brethren have described. You are sometimes called to be a midwife when you are not in a position to help bring for the child. You get to a position where you have to act as an NGO. So you are all over the place. But it's a good job. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Oh, my name and my profession. Yes, name, Godfred. An apostle, pastor, teacher, evangelist. Yes.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm going to ask a couple questions, and you can choose to answer or choose to pass. But our first question is, what inspired you to choose your career path? It doesn't have to go in order.
Check. Okay. My career path, I think I fell into it. I didn't necessarily choose it. I fell into it. And I believe it was by divine orchestration for what's to come next. So how I got into insurance consulting was that, I was wrapping up the end of my program. I was applying for jobs. I had an idea what I wanted to do specifically. I did study criminal justice, so I was thinking maybe I'll do some research. Maybe I'll do some work with law enforcement as a civilian. But that wasn't panning out well for me. So what I did was one day I applied on Indeed for something, and Indeed has an option that tells you like, hey, can we send your resume to these other areas? And I was like, oh yeah, sure, why not, send it. And then I say divine orchestration because after I had sent the resumes, I said a prayer. I said, Lord, let the job that's for me call me tomorrow. I go on about my day. I forget that I even said that prayer. I'm just living my life. And then I get a call from someone I don't know. I was confused. They called me and said, hey, we saw your resume. We'd like to speak to you further, blah, blah, blah. And I still didn't realize at that point that I had said the prayer the night before. But long story short, they called me. I got an interview. I learned a little bit about the company. I figured, okay, good pay, starting job, it works. And I'm grateful because I have learned so much from that moment up until now in regarding insurance, but also regarding myself as a young professional and so forth. So I didn't start there, I just fell into it. But yeah.
Girls rule. Amen. um, so I believe that my profession as a midwife is also a calling, like Daddy said, because I'm so happy just to be there. My husband tells me that when I go to work, I forget I have a husband and 2 kids. I don't forget them. I still remember them. I just be busy. But I came into women's health, I should say. Midwifery is my title. But I've always just been intrigued by women's health because I'm a woman. And especially from the country that we come from, which is Ghana, or I come from specifically, which is Ghana. I learned about my birth story from kind of like the trauma that my mom went through to give birth to me. And I just thought that was crazy. So since high school, at every lunch table, I'd be telling all my friends, I'm going to be an OBGYN, and I'm going to help bring babies to the world. And instead of becoming an OBGYN, I learned about midwifery, which I felt suited me better because of the pathway to become a midwife, and also the fact that it wasn't going to take me so long to actually get into the practice. And then when I became a midwife, I just learned so many I became a nurse first. So I'm a registered nurse and a midwife. So through that course, I just learned that there's so much that I can be. I can literally do anything with my nursing degree and my midwifery degree. And so it's just a blessing. And every time I'm with a woman to deliver, I just feel so at peace. I just feel like this is what I was born to do. I can have 5 babies and not be tired and just want to keep going. Yes, I love it.
All right. So I work as a nonprofit founder. My organization is called Envoy Culture. We do different work here in the country and work outside the country. But to sum it up, we want to help establish hope in communities, and particularly, with the reformation of young people, helping them be established pillars in their community to change the world. If you want to change the world, you got to start with people. If you want to start with people, start with the young ones, because they're the ones to carry the torch, right? So my organization focuses on 2 kind of like sectors. It's like split sectors. Philanthropy, which is like giving food and water, doing things to help people that are in need with resources, but then also with education. So with education, we have established, like at the beginning of this year, we established a mentorship program to assist young people with different career opportunities, career development. And we started, part of our mentorship program, we started like certifications, partnered up with Google to give certifications in IT, which is also my 9 to 5. So just trying to give as much resources to the young people to really reach our focus. This was not something I desired. I desired to help people, but it was a calling, I believe, from the Lord, that he allowed my path to kind of converge with the people, with the resources. And 3 years after kind of the thought, we now have all the proper paperwork. We're able to do work. I went to DR at the beginning of this year to do some work out there. So, I mean, I'm blown away, but things lined up, and yeah, I would say God orchestrated everything. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go next. I'm into data science, IT world. I came from a business economics background, having nothing to do with computer science. So I moved over from Ghana to the US, came over to grad school. So it was about that time that data science, AI, analytics, and don't get me wrong, AI has always been there. If you read the research papers, AI has been there, even in the 1950s. But I had no computer science experience whatsoever. So I got exposed to analytics, and I was telling a few folks downstairs that I'd done my 4-year bachelor's degree, and I'd never done any programming of any form. In economics, we build econometric models using data. In my final year, all I remember is that the professor came using Stata. If you've done any research or any statistics course, you probably know what it is. And he just ran the regression model, y is equal to mx plus c. If you did some calculus, you know what that means. And so this is m and this is c. I really don't know how he did it. So when I came over to the US and using Stata, I actually, got to understand that you could write code, run regression models, and make analysis. It blew my mind, and it was about the same time that analytics was growing, and I started reading about, what analytics, data science is all about. And so the catch for me was the impact that I thought analytics, can make for our world. And really, that is what AI and machine learning, for that matter, is doing to our world. The insights, the predictions, the patterns that you can use AI and machine learning to be able to do is mind-blowing. So that was the attraction to me, and that's how I got into it. So if you're here and you've never written any code, you might be in your final year, you're thinking about tech. That was my story. I've never done computer science, but I work with developers who have, bachelor's degree in computer science. So I tell people it all depends on you. Google is always your friend. There are a lot of videos on YouTube. It's not only about watching hip-hop videos. Like, there are a ton of resources on YouTube that you can literally learn how to code on your own without stepping foot into any class. If you guys use Khan Academy, if you guys use Lead Code, like, you can literally sit in the comfort of your room and learn how to, code in some programming language. Thank you.
For me, I had an interesting kind of road. I'm still like undecided, and like this is totally fine because like part of me in undergrad, I started with an economic major, then switched to political science. Then I was like, I don't want to do that, and then I switched to psychology. And then I was always interested in biology and research. So I ended up graduating undergrad with a psychobiology major and a minor in computer science. And for me, I was always interested in the reason why people always end up at hospitals, right? Because like I want to be a doctor and treat patients. But that's really when I stumbled upon like public health, which deals more with like population health. I wanted to understand like what's the reason behind why people end up at hospitals. What is it that from their environment or their whether it is like socio-demographics or any socioeconomic status that's impacting their risk of like ending up at hospitals for like something that could have been prevented before they end up at hospitals. So that's really when I keep saying stumble upon because I really never knew about public health. So that's when I knew that public health might be the better option for me to explore to make a more direct impact on like population health level so that we can decrease the amount of people that end up at hospitals.
Hi. So, similar to, I'm sorry, can you remind me of your name again? Oh, Ziad. Okay. So, kind of almost similar to him. I started off doing, I did chemistry and health sciences, but focusing on public health in undergrad. My main objective was to go to medical school because obviously, you know, growing up in an African household, they see you are a little bit, you have a little bit of brain. Hey, you're going to be a doctor. So that kind of followed me all throughout my life, but eventually I ended up with a passion for it as well, and I wanted to pursue that career. And I guess to a certain degree, I was a little bit tunnel visioned in that aspect, that when I got to college, my whole dream was to go to medical school afterwards. But obviously, life happened, and I decided to go to nursing school. I'm not gonna lie, in the beginning it was for the money. But, you know, we want to be honest here, right? Let's be honest. I mean, going to school, what's the main objective outside of, you know, passion? Money. You want to be able to pay for what you want to pay for, etc. So with that being said, I did the nursing. I did the accelerated course. I graduated. I worked for about a year. I got accepted into the master's program. I did it for 2 years or so. Yeah. I can't even remember. I did that, and I became an FMP. But at that time, I was still working as a nurse, and I was growing. Well, by the grace of God, I also had a family and all that stuff. But, yes, all my kids went to either nursing school or my master's degree. They all have degrees. Yeah. But by the grace of God, I finished that, and I am currently a family nurse practitioner. I work with a wide range of ages. I do teenagers to adolescents, middle age, geriatric, But, no offense, my favorite population is the geriatric population because they're so interesting. I love them so much. And yeah, that's kind of how my whole journey ended up. Oh, geriatric is the older population. What's the age again? I can't even remember. But the older population, the grandpapas and grandmamas, that's essentially them. And I can say, like I said before, what's that one word with my relationship with my career? Fulfilled, because it literally, the flexibility I need with my current life, it fulfills that. And I am also able to express the passion, because I've always had a passion outside of, wanting to be a doctor. I had a passion for, I was telling one of my girls that, honestly, when I see blood, well, while I was younger, and even now, not that I'm excited to see the blood, but it just gives me this level of, yes, this is my chance. I got to step in, save the day kind of thing. So I wasn't never really like, ooh, blood. I was always excited to see it. So I've always had that passion to go down that route. And I'm very excited to be able to fulfill that being a family nurse practitioner. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I was going to say anything because mine is a bit unconventional. I don't think it was a calling. Maybe it was born out of necessity. So I lost my dad early in life, and so I was raised by a single mom. So by 15, I also lost my mom. And then, as a child, everybody keeps you in the dark because they assume you don't know anything. And I think I wanted to defy that. So I'll look up stuff, what happens when, or why is it that somebody feels fatigued the whole day even though they've been in bed like 24 hours? All right, why would somebody be drowsy? And I think at the time I had more questions than answers. But while I kept digging, I ended up having more answers than, I needed. And so, that led me into confusion. But I think what I know is by God's grace, that limitation of, being confused by so many information only became a strength to keep, the curiosity, going and finding out stuff. And I think that got me here. So that's more so passion, perseverance, and it is. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Thank you guys so much for sharing. I think we can all take from this that, finding your career and what you're passionate about is not linear. There'll be other things along the line, so don't just focus on one thing, right? Our next question is, what were the biggest challenges you faced when starting your career? Or for some of you guys, what are some of the biggest challenges?
I guess I'll start. So for me personally, I think one of the biggest challenges, and thank God it's something that I'm still working on and I'm getting better at it, is you guys heard of imposter syndrome? Okay, so well, in hindsight, I realized that I suffered a great deal from that. Coming into my field in 2014, 10 years ago, I barely had a mustache, okay? If you guys saw me in 2014, you would think I was a ninth grader in high school, right? And I ended up working amongst people who, the next person to me in age was probably 20 years older than me. And every time I interacted with a patient, they would think I was some high school intern. And so all of these little things made me feel like I didn't belong there. It made me feel like I'm not good enough. Right? So, but this is something that I had to work through. It was a big challenge for me. A period came, I think Chichi and I were exchanging a little bit downstairs, and she reminded me of like a testimony I was sharing a couple of weeks ago, a time in my career where I I saw an opportunity to grow in my career, and this was like 4 years into my career, and the hiring, well, the interviewer told me I'm too green in the field. Mind you, the requirement, the minimum requirement as far as experience was 2 years, and I've been doing this for 4 years, and you're telling me I'm green. Is it because of my mustache? Right? I felt like, okay, that's you telling me I'm too young, right? I think I was like 27 at the time. But I looked 15. So, in terms of that, and then another level of imposter syndrome came when I finally did get an opportunity to become a lead person in my department, and overnight I was now required to lead people who trained me and to kind of be in charge of certain people. And I always go back to this story. I've told it at interviews when they ask me how will you handle, I'm kind of prepared to respond to that. How will you handle a situation where you're now leading or managing people who are either older than you or more qualified than you, supposedly, or whatever the case, or perhaps trained you? And I always tell them a story about and Auntie Doreen. Auntie Doreen, hello. Yeah, I haven't mentioned your name, but I've talked about you sometimes in my interviews. And the story I give there is that I tell them that, hey, I'm in a church that I serve as the music director of the church. And when I first took over as music director, there were people in the church who literally gave me lunch money, who changed my diapers. All of a sudden, I have to tell you that, hey, you're not singing right. Or, hey, we're meeting at this time. Hey, tomorrow we're wearing this, right? So that was a sort of like a learning ground for me. But anyways, imposter syndrome is really what I'm saying. I'm trying to round it all up here. That it has been a challenge for me, and I've come to a place where I know I've overcome it. We have to come to realize that we are worth it, that we're good enough. Wherever God has placed us, He has put us there for a reason, and we deserve to be there. Number 3, we should expect that we're not going to be perfect, right? That part of growing is making mistakes and messing up and learning from it. So until I came to accept that I didn't have to know everything, I didn't have to be perfect, that is what helped me to overcome that in my specific career. Thank you.
Just to kind of build off the imposter syndrome thing. It's like it's a very common thing, because actually I got my MPH from UCLA, and I was like the only black person in like the epidemiology cohort. So like I was like, from the first day I was like, I probably don't belong here, right? Because I'm like, why am I the only black person here, right? So that like at first I felt like I was through it with my undergrad, but like once I got to UCLA, then like this was a bigger school. Everyone there was like felt like they were a genius. So I was like, I kind of had to find my balance of like reminding myself that I do belong here, and like finding that community to like help me with like just trying to get through the 2 years that I was there for. And another thing is really believing in yourself, because in undergrad I was in the pre-med track, and they do have a lot of weed out classes, like the biology classes that we take and whatnot. So when I got to my MPH, I wasn't sure if I was good enough to like be a teaching assistant, right? Because all these classes I had like struggled and like didn't really know if I was fit to like teach these. So I took up put on that challenge to become a teaching assistant. Thankfully, I stayed the course, the 2 years, and like that was really one of the most memorable experiences to like interact with other students, to like get them through these struggles that I myself went through of trying to like understand basic concepts of like biology and like basic concepts of biology research. So yeah, imposter syndrome, to sum it up, and just being resilient and just really believing that like you do belong and like you are gonna get through.
Yeah, imposter syndrome. I absolutely relate with what Gabriel said and Ziad said about imposter syndrome, especially because in my career, it's not a lot of people that look like me or like us. So you would think that, you know, right now all these industries are making all these makeups for dark-skinned people and all of that, but honestly, the people that are making decisions don't look like us, unfortunately. So yeah, when I got put into the position that I'm in right now, it was kind of hard to like accept that, one, I was qualified to do it, and two, that I was gonna lead a group of people on projects for, you know, big brands. But here I am, I'm doing it, and God's helping me through it. That's one of the challenges. But one other challenge, I mean, everybody seems very serious with like, you know, healthcare and money and all those things, and I'm talking about cosmetics, like who cares? But one of the challenges that I would say, and maybe the word that I should have used for the relationship with my job is actually adaptability, because regulations are changing every day, especially now with climate change and everything. You wouldn't think that, you know, all these things kind of affect, climate change is also affecting, you know, things you're eating. I mean, in my industry, for example, like a lot of things are being banned because of not necessarily the product that we're using in the cosmetic, but the byproduct in creating whatever we're using in the cosmetics. So a lot of brands are going green. So every day regulations are changing, and maybe I'll get a project like today. I'm working on it. I have all my ingredients done. It's gone through testing. We've done safety testing. Everything is good. And then there's a new regulation like today. And maybe the project is due, like maybe it's going to be on the shelves next year. And honestly, for a product, before a product gets on the shelf, it's a whole year of process. It could actually be more, depending on what it is. But it's like, imagine you have all your project, that everything is done, safety testing is done, and then it's like, oh no, you can't use this product, this ingredient anymore. And it could be like 0.5% in the formula, and you take that out, and everything is changed. So now you have to go back to square one, and you still have to meet the deadline. So that's like, I would say that's one of the challenges that I face in my career, is just really trying to be adaptable and always researching. So I'm actually in the advanced research part of my department. So we're always researching raw materials that, you know, can replace whatever we're using or whatever is being banned right now, because every day I'm getting an email, this thing is banned, this thing is banned. So yeah, adaptability, I think. Trying to be adaptable is really one of my challenges at work.
All right, I also share my experience. I would also call it cultural adaptability. You know, got out of school, started in the field of consulting. You know, Ghana boy. And consulting is, you have a company, but you are interacting with you know, your clients are other companies. So I deal with Adriel's company, I'll deal with Gabriel's company, that type of thing. And, you know, Ghana boy, we don't talk about what is the weather today. I took my dog to the park. And like these guys that I was working with, they be having some crazy conversation that I had no interest in at all. And you cannot be a consultant and not talk. it was a struggle, you know, not about the core work that I was supposed to do, but having conversations outside of work was really tough. We went over to lunch break and, hey Manny, what did you do over the weekend? So I, you gotta learn how to make up stuff. Well, I went skydiving in Chicago but I've never done skydiving. But the fun part is I had to learn very quickly, you know, dealing with these people from a business perspective because I was telling you that you cannot be a consultant and not talk. Nobody's going to realize, nobody's going to see you. So I had to learn how to, you know, talk their talk, say the things that they were interested in. Monday morning, you get into a meeting, somebody wants to talk about their cat or dog before we begin to scrum. I'm like, I ain't interested in talking about your dog. But you still have to learn something about the different type of dogs. I switched positions and my manager was talking to me about the 3 dogs that he has. Okay, well. So I had to learn to have conversations with him about dogs because I realized he was very passionate about talking about dogs. They have no kids, and so his everything are dogs. And I would say that going through the corporate world, you really have to be versatile. You should have an open mind to doing things. If you want to go off of, you know, quote unquote, the Ghanaian way of doing things, especially this is not our space. I mean, that is just what it is. So you really have to learn the culture, things that they do, the concerts that they go to. Although I had no interest, sometimes after work, I used to travel back and forth to Atlanta. I didn't want to go to a karaoke night, but I had to go with them so that we can talk about it in the morning before we start to work. So that was a huge challenge to me because I was not comfortable about those things. I was not even checking the weather before stepping out. And so sometimes I was even dress improperly. But these guys kept putting me on my toes, and I had to learn. So learning is something that you should have as part of your values in every, you know, sphere that you find yourself. Now, the even bigger one that, you know, was a challenge to me, remember I said that I didn't have any computer science background. Whatever happens in the classroom is completely different from what happens in the real world. The real world is more complex. And so not having a computer science background, you know, I've, you know, gone through school, did a lot of projects, and then you get thrown into the field. And coming with a graduate degree, there is some expectation as far as, you know, the work you are supposed to do. There were certain, you know, codes I didn't know how to write because my master's program focused on a certain programming language, R, if you know it. But for the most part, you know, corporations use Python a lot. And I knew Python, but I didn't know Python. And so I had to spend a lot of time, and I was working with this other data scientist that I realized was really great at Python. And so I had to be spending time asking questions. And one thing that I would say is that never feel bad, never feel shy if you don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. You know, you're going to meet different people in the workplace. Some people are going to try to embarrass you because they think you should know and you don't know. But I have had to learn a lot from people by asking questions. The one thing that I'll say is that don't ask stupid questions. And one thing that I learned in consulting, because in consulting, you are being sold to the customer at a very high price. And so you don't want to sit in front of a C-suite person like a CEO or COO, and then you're asking very dumb questions, like you're crashing your company. So much as you want to learn, you got to be smart about the questions that you're asking so that you know, quote unquote, you don't appear that you don't know what you're talking about or asking about. And so learning really helped me a lot, and spending time. I remember I was traveling to Missouri back and forth. The project was crazy. I had no idea how to go about it. They assigned certain tasks to me. I would have to reach out to another person who was over in India, and there's a huge time difference between Asia and the US, but I had to be spending that time. And so I would say that the challenge is going to come, but you have to put in the effort. So I was saying earlier on that if you don't even have any computer science background and you want to get into tech, at the end of the day, it depends on you. Are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to spend the time? Are you willing to research? Are you willing to learn? It's been challenging. We're still learning, but I'll say that I've gotten better. Thank you.
I'll add on a little bit about my experience. I even forgot the original question, but challenges. Okay. I think the greatest challenge working as a nonprofit, working in the nonprofit space is direction, because, this is your company. If you do it, it happens. If you don't do it, it doesn't happen. Nobody's watching you, paying you, and for the most part, as a nonprofit, you're not getting paid unless you have certain fundings. But my organization, we officially launched last year, September last year, but actually took a year from that time, a year and a half of just conversation with me and my other partners, because we were doing other things, but we lacked direction. We didn't have any mentors, so we were just kind of filling with the idea of what we wanted to do, what we wanted to focus on, trying to get our name trademarked. Long story short, after a year and a half of kind of filling with the idea, we decided to buckle down and get serious, and we were able to launch. But after we launched, the next step was, what do we want to do? We have a nonprofit, so what's next? So with the mindset of understanding we wanted to help people, we started thinking, and an opportunity came to help build a well in the Dominican Republic. And the well is still on the way, but we were able to go visit this year to kind of see the work and see where it will be built. So, me and my partners, we raised some funds, and, we just did it. Our mentality was, okay, we know what we want to do, let's just do it quick before we overthink and don't do it. So we started doing things. We started working on a well, and then as we were doing that, we realized that, hey, let's also think about how we can help people here. And so we started this initiative. We actually started a scholarship called Redeem the Dream Scholarship, and this is going to be launched this fall in Bronx Community College. So BCC, if you apply, if you're a student, you could probably get it. But yeah, so again, the concept was, hey, me and my partners, we're all CUNY graduates. Let's do something for the schools. And we were like, okay, what can we do? Let's do a scholarship. How do you do a scholarship? We don't know. Let's look it up. Let's start researching. All right, this is the number for the office. Let's call them. We'll call them. They say, yeah, you can come in. And it's like, you have an idea, you have a vision, just take that one next step, right? Nobody thought, we didn't think we'll be doing the things we're doing when we sat in our rooms on Zoom talking. But you have an idea, you figure out what you want to do, and then you just take the next step to get it done. And, we have that scholarship, and that's going to be released. And then now we're focusing on just trying to mentor young people. And right now we have, I think 9 people in the program. We started a month and a half ago, and we have 9 students looking to truly take what we're doing seriously. And they're telling us, we don't really realize the impact we have sometimes, but they're telling us, guys, what you guys are doing, you guys are giving me opportunity, hope. You guys are giving me a focus, a skill set that I can use, and they're really appreciative. But I think of it, I'm just like, Lord, how did we get here? Because, again, we didn't think about all of this when we started. So just having the motivation and the direction to figure out, okay, we're just going to do something we know is in the realm of helping people, and because it's the context of a nonprofit where you have the flexibility, the versatility to do different things, when opportunities come up, when you hear people talking about problems, now your ears start to perk up because you realize if it's a problem, there's an opportunity for us to solve it. And then you start thinking like that, and God does the rest to grant you the resources and the connections to make it happen.
Okay, we're going to ask, thank you guys so much for being vulnerable and sharing your experiences with everyone. We're gonna ask one last question, and that's, what would you tell someone interested in going into the field that you're in? Like, what's an advice that you'd give them? And if we can hear from all the panelists, please.
I have the mic, so I'll speak. The advice that I would give somebody that wants to pursue midwifery would be that to be focused. For me, that's what worked for me, right? So I can only talk from my experience and my perspective. I think even though trying to figure out whether I want to do medicine or do midwifery was kind of like a deciding stage, but that deciding stage happened in high school. And so this is the perfect time for you to be exposing yourself to things like this so that you don't want to go spend 4 years of your life. Yes, some people have done it and still ended up successful, right? But 4 years is a long time, okay? So you don't want to spend 4 years of life, 4 years of loans. Salome gonna find you. And then realize like, oh, I don't really want to do that, but you now owe $150,000 of something that you don't really want to do. And now you got to go to school to do what you really want to do and owe another $150,000. It's not all about the money, but it is, because even if you're having a fulfilling career, right? Like as a midwife, I love my job, but if I owed $150,000 for my 2 majors that I did that I didn't actually study or become that major, I'll be happy, but not that happy, because every time I get my check, Salome is going to be looking for my check. So it's going to take me a minute for me to feel happy in what I'm doing financially, right? So I know that in a lot of now, everybody's kind of like in the YOLO, live your life. You only live once, have fun, do all the things you want to do. But I didn't go into college with that mindset. I told myself when I chose to be a nurse, I said, even if literally going to take the blood out of me, I'm going to graduate with that degree, and then I could do something else, right? So I would say don't buy the idea of just kind of like feeling everything out a little bit. Feel it out now before you invest $150,000. If you're my kid, don't play that games with me. Thank you.
So I'm gonna make. Is this working? I'm gonna make this really. Okay. I'm gonna make this really short. The question was, what advice do you have for someone trying to pursue your career? I'll say honestly, and I think I was talking to a few of the girls about it. Never give up. Yes, I did hear some no's while I was trying to figure out what it is that I wanted to do, but the no's can turn to many, many yeses. Just keep your head up high, just like Adriel said. Do what you have to do. Like, if there's one thing, and my husband says this all the time, if there's one thing that I can say about you, like, you never give up. And really, I don't care if you're telling me no today, you're going to tell me no, yes tomorrow, because I'm not going to stop. Tomorrow's another day, and by the grace of God, I'm going to get that yes. So never give up. Keep doing what you're doing. Find that passion. Find what it is that you want to do, and you'll get it done. I know this is kind of far from the nurse practitioner field, but yeah, you get my drift. It applies to everything.
So I'm going to touch a bit on the challenges, and then I'll come to the advice. So I think in my field, we don't have a lot of black people, right? My program, it's about 90 people when I started. That's across 3 years, first year, second year, third year. And it was just 3 black people. So you can imagine going to work knowing that you have to try to fit in other people's boxes, right? It's tough. Right? Sometimes the job is not even that difficult, but it's the people you have to work with, right? Having to carve your path and find a way to blend in is not easy, right? So we need you people. We need specifically Ghanaians, all right? I find the other 2 black people are all Nigerians. We need more black Ghanaian people. All right, that's a necessity. So, if you're not doing it for yourself, just do it for God. Be patriotic, all right? Another thing is the imposter syndrome. That's a true thing. I think it cuts across every career, maybe. Especially in my field, also, it's something you don't stop feeling even when you're older, right? You literally are in charge of somebody's health, right? You have to help restore somebody's health to normalcy. You, you're responsible for so many things, all right? And sometimes having that emotional toll on patient outcome is a lot. So when there's something happening, you don't know what to do. Um, suddenly, sometimes you just know what to do, but suddenly that imposter syndrome or that feeling just cripples you, and you're just stuck. And it's one of the challenges that we still go through every day. There's not a one way solution to it, but I think as and when you go through this career, experiences and other things would build you up to overcome that with time. Another challenge with this field is time. It's really time consuming. Like my day starts really early and I close really late. Plus, I work night shifts and in the weekends. And so you miss out on a lot of things, your family, your friends, the parties. Even when you start going to school for, pre-med or medical school, your colleagues are going to come out of grad school or undergrad before you do. You're going to start earning salaries before you do. A whole lot of things that you feel like you're missing out on. But that's what comes with this field. And so I just think the only way to think about it is, you have to have foresight, right? There's no instant gratification when you start. You have to think about all that you will probably enjoy from this career. It's not even also. It's not just about that. It's also about your passion. You have to really love it in order to push yourself through it. Now, my advice to the high school students, I would say, an early start is a head start. All right. If you're in high school now and you have this interest in medicine, I would say that it's any step you take now will set a strong foundation for a successful career in medicine. All right. If you take a step now, it brings you closer to helping you fulfill that dream of helping others in the medical world. So what do? You know what to, you know that you have to take as many science courses, um, be it biology, AP biology, especially courses that would count towards your college, coursework. All right, physics, chemistry, mathematics. I think you mathematics. I know people don't like it, but at least just get through pre-calculus. That alone, that alone can help. And I think one other thing you should also be looking at is exposing yourself to, you know, um, the medical world. All right, what happens in the real medical world is not necessarily what you see in movies and shows and all of that. Reach out to your PCP. Reach out to, even veterinarians, right? Like anybody in healthcare, your friends in med school, just listen to what insights and guidance they have to share. Ask for shadowing opportunities because I think that's really like helps you gauge your interest and make you like confirm that this is something you really want to go into. Because I always tell people it's very difficult, but it's not impossible. Okay, so you have to be sure that this is the journey that you want. Else, you get to the middle. I have friends who got to the middle, like second, third year med school, and they dropped out, right? So you don't want to do all of that, accruing all these student loans and all of that, and then not being able to get to the destination just because you weren't too sure if this is what you wanted to do, right? There is also local resources, right? There are national organizations that you can join. You meet your peers, people who are also equally interested in med school. You find people who are willing to offer mentorship, because it's one of the careers that you can't do without a mentor. And I'm not saying it just because, it's easy to say, but you need guidance. There's a point where you feel alone. It's just nobody around you can understand what you're going through, especially when you get to the point where you have to take some tests to get your license. It's so difficult. If anybody counts you down, it makes them even look annoying to you because they do not exactly understand what you're feeling. And that's when you need people in the same field, people who can mentor you, can say stuff that you need to hear in order to go through, because they also already went through it. So it all boils down to being strategic, a strategic planner, having the passion, being consistent. I have this saying that success in medicine is not determined by how talented you are, right? It's not like soccer or any other game. It's not how talented, it's about how dedicated you are. If you're not dedicated, you get stuck in the way, even though you're so smart, or you get stuck in the way. But if you develop a pattern of being very consistent and determined, I think that would serve you much better than someone who is just talented. Right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Just to piggyback of what Mike said with shadowing, I had those very same sentiments. That is one of the advices I would give to anyone who wants to enter any field, not just my field. It's very, very important that you do your due diligence, and a Google search is not adequate. Watching a video, a day in a life, is not adequate because they show you what they want you to see. But it's very, very important that you connect with someone who's already in the field and perhaps try and see if there's a way, an avenue for you to shadow them, follow them around on their job, kind of get exposed to what they do. You'll get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Not just what they want you to see. The second thing I would give as far as advice is concerned is that a lot of courses and careers require some level of education, right? The problem is that I wouldn't say a lot, but there are certain programs that are out there that are not accredited, okay? There could be a school that is claiming to have a nursing program. Just because the school says they have a nursing program doesn't mean you should just go and enroll into the nursing program. You need to find out that they're accredited and that their accreditation is current, okay? And if you don't know what an accreditation is, basically there are agencies that are set out to make sure that schools are keeping the standard as far as the level of education that they're giving, because these are lives that you're dealing with, right? And so in order to keep the standards, the schools, the companies or the agencies, I should say, inspect the programs, right, to make sure that they're keeping the standard. They look at the pass rates of the students. They look at what the instructors are teaching. They look at the retention and graduation rates of the programs, right? And they have a way of determining that this school is meeting the standard. As long as that school is meeting the standard, they will be accredited. The problem is if you end up in a program that is not accredited and you complete the program, you will now be sitting there wondering, how do I become licensed? Guess what? If you're nursing, you got to go take the NCLEX, right? The NCLEX looks and they don't find your school in their registry of accredited programs. You don't get to take the nursing exam. You just wasted all that money going to school for what? Nothing, right? So that's very, very, very important, right? There are agencies that are also out there. There are ways to report programs that are not accredited and are running. So, there is a system in place that helps to sort of, get rid of these programs. But it takes years. It's an investigation. It takes time, right? So if you end up in the wrong space, in the wrong program, you could end up wasting a lot of time and money, right? And this is a scam, essentially, right? So let's be very mindful of that. Amen. Thank you.
Just to piggyback on, oh, we're sorry. Just to, no, no, worries, no worries. Just to piggyback on like what everyone has said so far, I would say like pick something that you're really interested in, and network and connect with people that are doing that which you're interested in. But at the same time, try to diversify your training or learning. That way, you can make yourself marketable. Because like especially now with like technology and like AI and stuff, it's really helpful for you to like know how to do a lot of things, but at the same time be really good at what you are going to school for, right? If you are going to be I don't know, we keep saying biology, but whatever it is that you're interested in, right? If you want to do that, make sure that you're really good at it, because there's your competition out there every day. They're working on like mastering their skill, right? So you want to make sure that you're really good at what you are intending to do, but at the same time, try to diversify your learning. Like I said, it helped for me to have like gone to like psychology and biology and computer science, because that helped me get this data analyst job, and it also helped me get through my epidemiology training as well. So I will say, don't be afraid to ask questions. I know that can be tough because we think we know everything, but that's not the case. So it's always good to like ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid to network. And also your peers, right? Those that you go to school with, make sure that you keep in contact with them. Make sure that you're networking with them, and like these people might be, your gateway to like your future job, and not even that. It's also like a community for you that's going to support you and get you through. It doesn't mean that you have to be buddies with them and like be friends with them, but it helps to like have that network of people that are doing the same thing that you're doing, or just have similar interests as you. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so I want to hone in on insurance and consulting, specifically on like a practical advice. So I didn't mention this earlier, but I'm a consultant for an insurance brokerage. So there's no formal let me not say formal education, but there's no formal path to get into insurance, right? You can work for an insurance company and they can pay for you to get licensed, and boom, you're in insurance. However, I have come across people who actually studied insurance in college, and they specifically studied risk management, because insurance is all about managing risk. When you get health insurance, so that if God forbid something happens, you don't have to bear the full cost. An insurance company covers you. So it's all about risk management. So that would be something to consider. If insurance is a field, it would be to study risk management. As far as consulting, and Manny, you might be able to touch on this too because you're the consultant. But what I have noticed as I looked at other consulting firms is that they would ask about your SAT or ACT scores. And it's optional, but I always think when companies say optional, they're really saying we kind of want it. So it's important. So what I would say with that is, it's important that you have good scores, SAT scores, ACT scores. It's good to have that. It's good to have a good resume. If you're in school right now, get not multiple, but get trusted eyes on your resume. Start, reformatting, making sure that it's articulating the things that you want to do. And I think also, in general, learning how to articulate yourself now is important, or how to sell yourself now. Because down the line, once you start applying for jobs and even just networking, you're going to have, or even in your current role, you're going to have to let the people you work with, sometimes you have to tell them your value. You can assume that they will assume what it is, but you're going to have to learn to tell them like, hey, I do so, so, and so. Hence, I should be getting this amount. I should be getting this promotion. So, so So in some, risk management if you're interested in insurance, keeping up your SAT, ACT scores if you're interested in going into consultant, and then learning how to sell yourself, essentially, yeah.
So as a entrepreneur, because a nonprofit is still a business, but money just looks different. um, as an entrepreneur, there's a lot I could say, but I think you really need to understand what's your why, right? Like why you want to do what you want to do. And this is where, I love what a lot of my colleagues here said, understanding about passion. But I feel like to be successful, your passion has to, in a sense, kind of turn into a burden where you clearly understand that it's not like I want to do this, but I have to do this. And secondly, the passion or the burden, if I should say, it should really truly be tied to people, because a business is actually made to solve problems. That's the purpose of any kind of business. If you don't have products and services are to solve the problems of people. So if you're not people-centric in your business and you're thinking about the money, you're not going to truly serve people well, and you're soon going to be out of business. So you really have to have a clear burden of what you want to do for the people, whatever business you want to do. And if you have that kind of burden, then I think you can start thinking about entrepreneurship. Now, a nonprofit is a specific type of business, and the reason you might want to go the nonprofit route is doesn't mean you won't get paid. You can still make some money as a nonprofit, owner, but it's more focused on being the middleman between resources versus being the source of it if you're a nonprofit founder. And I think at the end of the day, you still get the satisfaction of helping people. But if you want to work with schools, if you want to work with different environments that perhaps operating as a for-profit business might make it a bit difficult with maybe the limitations or the stigma of you make money from doing, if you're trying to help us, why are you charging us, right? So perhaps a nonprofit, if you have these ideas, these passions, you might want to consider operating as a nonprofit. Now, if you want to get into it, I would say the shortest route is through a mentor. Perhaps don't do what I did, but I would truly say that you would save a lot of time and energy just following the successful model of someone that succeeded in what you're trying to do. So find a mentor, but ultimately, if you want to be an entrepreneur, have a clear burden, have a clear why, because that's what's going to drive you when you don't really know what to do, or what you thought would happen doesn't happen as expected. So yeah.
All right, to add to what everyone has said in being technology, my advice would be to have a learning mindset. And if you come over to my company, it's one thing the CEO says every single time. You cannot be in tech and think you know it all. And so we've been taught to approach our customers to learn. We have the products, we have the solutions, but you want to hear your customers first. Learn from your customers. And so if you want to get into technology, and especially with how things are changing rapidly, day in, day out, new things are coming. You want to keep yourself abreast with what is happening in the industry. If you are a data scientist and you're building models, you should be thinking about what are the latest techniques. There's ChatGPT now. If you don't know anything about generative AI, you got to be learning and reading about generative AI, how that is going to, impact work and, our lives in the next few years. So having that learning mentality is very crucial, not only in the tech space, but generally speaking. Read about anything. Try to have some fundamental knowledge about finance. You don't want to walk into that room and they're speaking some finance language and you're clueless as to what is going on. Have the perspective of the finance person, and it happens in the corporate world a lot. The nurse is going to be thinking about care, right? But the hospitals, for the most part, they're also there to make money. All right, so even if you are a nurse, you should have some sort of financial understanding so that if you are speaking to your CFO, you can challenge his perspective. But if you don't understand what the CFO is concerned about, and you're probably always emphasizing care, he can flaw you in so many ways, right? That at the end of the day, care is what the hospital is standing for, but you may not win. And arguments happen a lot in the world of work. Learn about how the HR person thinks, how the marketing person thinks, because everybody has different KPIs, and people argue based off of what their objectives and their goals are. You can only speak and quote unquote challenge whatever anyone is saying when you have, when you have some understanding of how that person thinks. And so learning is very key. Read about cryptocurrencies, read about blockchain, read about generative AI, read about self-driving cars. Have some, key people in the tech space. Elon Musk, what is the next thing that he's doing? That guy's crazy, right? Read about him. What is Bill Gates thinking about? All these, top guys in the tech space. Now, OpenAI is there. If you know their CEO, what are they trying to do next? So learning is very, very key. Now, the next thing that I will talk about is volunteerism. Some people go to work and I have a job description. I know what I'm supposed to do in a day-to-day. And I was saying that the real world is very complex. So you're giving your job description and, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. Case closed, I'm done, go home. But really, if you want to make an impact in the office or on your job, it's not just about what you have been assigned to do. Now, we are in church. If you look at God being a creator, I'll link it to technology. Technology is about initiative, it's about innovation, it's about solving problems. Our world is full of a lot of problems. How can you see a problem in your job place and be able to solve it? That is what will make you stand out. And so you have to volunteer to do things that you haven't been asked to do. And I'll give you one classical example. And it's not a comfortable thing to volunteer because really nobody's asking you to do it. So why do you want to go that extra mile? What are you getting out of it? A colleague reached out to me. He had this customer that we had to do a presentation with for about a week. It is your customers are my customer. And, typically how we do those workshops, we'll plan it out. But he was not talking to me. He was not saying anything. So I'm like, okay, well, it's your customer. So however you want to drive it, I'll support. Now, he called me, and back then I was over in Ghana. He called me Sunday evening. I typically wouldn't pick, but I'm like, well, maybe he's calling me, to talk about the workshop. Picked up, and he was literally dumping everything on me. I've done other workshops with this guy that is not his typical behavior. So why is he doing that? Well, okay, I'm gonna do it. So, oh, Manny, can you do this? Can you start with the presentation and then you do the infrastructure setup, da-da-da. Like, okay, cool. So how we had it structured, okay, Tuesday you're going to do X, Y, Z, and then I'll do that. Literally he was skipping all of his sessions, and he was not even communicating ahead of time. Real time, he would just bring a surprise on me. Can you do this? So I'm talking about volunteerism. Fast forward, I literally did all the sessions during the workshop. Apparently, this guy was dealing with a surgical procedure that he was scheduled for during that week. He couldn't tell me as, he had already spoken to the customer and had the workshop scheduled. I was initially bummed, why are you doing that? But he gave me this recommendation that it went all the way to about my M3 or M4 because Manny was there for him. And we have this thing over at my job, which says One Microsoft. And so if you are dying, I am dying. If I'm dying, you're also dying. So no matter what your KPIs are, I have to be there for you. And so I did something that I was not necessarily supposed to do. I could have told him that, hey, I'm not ready for this, and I could be justified in any way. He would have figured how he had wanted to do it. All right, so whether in our job places, in church, find something to do. If you work in the choir, if you are an usher, look at your surroundings. There is a problem that by God being a creator, if you look at how the human mechanism works, it's a perfect description of what innovation and creativity is. How the kidney is working and the brain, and it's insane. And so if we were created in the image and likeness of God, there is a problem that you can help fix and you can help solve. And so don't go into your job place thinking, okay, these are the things that I saw in the job posting, and I am going to be doing exactly that. Nobody's going to see you, because everybody can do that. Everybody, right? So what will make you stand out is volunteering to do something that you've not been asked to, and that is actually solving a problem. Then you are making an impact. Thank you.
I'll try to keep it brief. So for anyone who wants to go into this career specifically, definitely you would have to have a scientific background. But I mean, I'm not talking, just, okay, I know chemistry or I know biology. You really need lab experience. So I would definitely advise that, whatever science course you're taking, obviously you have your lab classes, but if you have the opportunity to work with a professor, and maybe a lot of professors on campus are usually working on something, research or something, get into research, because the steps in research is really what you're going to be using in this industry. So the scientific method, where you do your observations, you have your hypotheses, you do your experiment, your data collection, data analysis. All of that is very important. Definitely math skills, you have to have that. I know if you hate math, I'm sorry, this might not be for you. You definitely have to have math background. What else? Yeah, I think also another advice that I would give, like when I was on campus, I was definitely looking into other subjects that didn't necessarily have to do with chemistry. My major was chemistry, but I knew that I wanted to get into the beauty industry. So I was definitely trying to take courses that would help me in the industry. So I actually had a minor in marketing as well. If you have the opportunity to take like classes, or if you have extra credits, I would say don't just waste them on taking the class that's going to give you an easy A. Try to use it to actually diversify, like Ziad said. That's definitely going to help you. Also on campus, a lot of times they have like programs. Like I took a leadership program. I just took it because one of my course mates was like, let's take this class because, whatever. And actually it's very helpful for me, because now that I am in the position that I am in, I see that I go back to it a lot of times. And I actually had it on my resume, so I don't know if that also helped for me getting the position that I'm getting. But definitely take every opportunity you have on campus. If you do get these opportunities to take these classes, if you can, definitely helpful. Creativity in this industry will help you a lot, and I think that's also the fun part of it, that you're not just collecting data and doing math and doing science, but you also have to be really creative. You also have to think outside the box. The industry is very competitive. I mean, I feel like we've invented every type of makeup that we can invent at this point. So most of it is really exploring textures, exploring delivery systems, exploring sensorialities. Like right now, the new trend is jelly. Everybody wants things to be jelly. So I don't know, very soon we might have like a foundation that looks jelly. So people just want something interesting, because it's marketing that's really selling these products, really. So again, innovation, creativity, that's really what you need for this industry. And I think also problem-solving skills. I used to run away from problems, so at my job, it doesn't end with me creating the product, because I was explaining earlier to someone, like, if you formulate something and it's not reproducible on a large scale, you've wasted your time. Because why are we here creating a foundation in a 200 beaker, and then we go into production and we are trying to create 100,000 kilos and we cannot make it, then we just waste the time. So a lot of times, and it happens a lot, I would have my formula, it gets approved, we scale up, we go into production, and then production people always come. It happens all the time. Every time we're doing first production, oh, this is not working, the method you gave us is not working, this is out of specification, da-da-da-da. And I'm always running behind my manager like, okay, what do I do? Can you help me solve this? And I realized that now I'm actually throwing myself to these challenges, so I actually try to follow my projects from when they're conceived to when they're produced on a larger scale. It makes me feel more fulfilled. It also helps me see like, okay, this is my creation, I did this, it went into production, it got filled, it's on the shelf. I don't know. Personally, it just makes me feel good. So I'm learning not to run away from these problems, and it's just really more fulfilling. So just have like this, I guess, inclination of not running from problems, but trying to be a problem solver. And I think, yeah, those are the major things that I would say you would need to be in this industry. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right. Advising someone who wants to be a pastor. if I should pass the mic to these young ones who are seated here listening to you, I think I won't have even probably 1% saying that, oh, I want to be an apostle, I want to be a pastor, I want to be an evangelist and stuff like that. I remember, many of you know Joshua, who is going to Texas. I remember around 7, 8, 9, you go to the house, he called himself Pastor Joshua. I want to be a pastor, I want to be a pastor. Just about 3 weeks ago, I saw him and said, oh, Pastor Joshua. I said, what? And the mom said, yes, when you were young, you were always talking about you want to be a pastor. No, I'm not going to be a pastor. So what I advise you? It's a call, and I want to just say that we must all be ready to hear the voice of God and get into this area of ministering to people. I can stick my neck out and say for those on the panel who are part of Breakthrough, like Emmanuel, Jeremiah, Gabriel, Adriel, Lydia, yes. All of them are involved in, ministry work in the church. And I see the hand of God upon them. And I know that the day is going to come. And some of them, they've already heard the voice of God. And some of them have already heeded to the call. And so we should all get ready, young and old. The Lord is going to call you one day to really be there to get the cause of Christ across. And just get involved. Get yourself, like Emmanuel said, get yourself into doing something in the house of God. And a day is going to come when you're going to hear the voice of God calling you into ministry. And I know that though it's a complex thing, dealing with the supernatural and the natural. And some will tell you, so you become supernatural. You are not supernatural. You're dealing with natural things, and you're dealing with, as you know, principalities and powers, and you are dealing with human beings. It's a complex thing, but the Lord's help will always be there to bring you to the place of fulfillment. There are some of us, the Lord is going to tell you, if you don't do my work, it will not go well with you. Like Jeremiah. No, I'm not talking about Jeremiah here. I'm talking about Bible Jeremiah, who said, I'm too young. Moses, I cannot talk. When you have been trained in the wisdom of, Egypt, and now you stand before God and saying that I'm a stammerer, which wasn't, trying to give excuses. But the Lord will be your helper when you hear the call, just lift up your hands, and the God of Jeshurun, He'll write the heavens to be your helper. The Lord bless you all.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all. Thank you all. I know we went over time a little. I'm sorry. But let's give a round of applause again for our panelists here. And now we're going to call our brother Macarius to give us closing prayer so we can end the night. Does anyone have questions? Okay, thank you. Any questions? I mean, our panelists will be here after, right?
What about we give them a question?
Who has a question?
What about we give them a question? Just one, just one. But
Okay.
no, set time, right? So
Yeah, we're
we're over. Yeah, we can go.
5 minutes.
We can go
Okay.
5 minutes.
Everybody got 5 minutes to spare?
Well, no, not everyone has to answer. Just like a popcorn kind of
Okay.
question. Whoever grab it. Okay, so from everything we've discussed today, how are you? Oh, yeah, thank you. From everything we've discussed today, how are you going forward, going to apply, or what are you taking and then applying from henceforth? Yeah, your takeaway and how you would apply it.
I came late.
You just heard the panelists, right? So what are you taking away?
What I'm taking away from this event is that we shall apply wisdom and understanding when we're. Wait, hear me out. Let me cook. All right. So, when we're developing as young adults and as we get older and get jobs, that we gotta apply wisdom and understanding in our job places so that we're not like led astray in a way. So like. I continue. So, and when I say apply wisdom and understanding, I mean like when Brother Emmanuel was saying that we should learn in a certain way, like pick up in a way that it makes it seem like you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing. So that's what I mean by apply wisdom and understanding. So yeah. Who's next? That's it.
Hello. 1, 2. Okay, yeah. I want to be an OBGYN. No, I'm kidding. So no, when when you guys were talking about like, literally what you said, right? I encountered at my workplace a lot where it's like sometimes you really got to pretend to know what you're talking about at least. Like, and heavy emphasis on like knowing the material, right? Like, for example, I work at a think tank in energy, right? But my background is international law, right? So I work with like experts, like people who know what they're doing, right? Like essentially like they write laws, right? And they advocate for laws to be passed internationally in the US, right? And I remember one time, like I was sitting with this colleague who was just brought from South America, and he was doing the research, and we were just talking, and he started going to like LNG, energy, like energy patterns and environmental patterns, specifically in South America. And I'm just sitting there like, huh. And in my head, I'm like, think about question asked. Think about question asked. Like, at least know what you're talking about. So he was speaking. I'm like, yo, it got to a point where my mind is just going blank. I'm like, so as soon as he ended, I'm like, so what do you think about Africa? and I'm like usually I can engage with them, but it's like the topic, it was so specific that I had no idea, right? The point that I'm trying to make is like, you're gonna end up in your career, especially when you go into very like subfields where there are not a lot of people that look like us, you got to make yourself look interesting. Like I've had colleagues ask me, what did you do over the weekend? And I'll be like, oh, I went apple picking. I'm lying. I literally stayed home the whole weekend. Oh, I went to church. But the truth of it is you got to make yourself interesting, because here's the thing, right? In the corporate world, it's either like you have to make it. Like you have to become interesting so people can recognize you. So people, sometimes even your promotion is not even contingent on like how well you do your job, but how well like you make people smile or how you interact with people legit. You know what I mean? So it's like, just try and be interested. Don't be one of those people. I know in our Ghanaian culture, we go in there, people like, just do your work, mind your business. I'm sorry, but that's going to have you stay in the same pay range in the same position. So just have a little character to you. That's what I got to say. Back.
Man? Okay, so just really quickly, just so to get everyone to kind of speak tonight, especially those we haven't heard from, not necessarily out of any of the careers here, but what are your passions? What do you see yourself doing in your career field?
We want to have you on video so we can play for you at your graduation.
Exactly.
All right. My passion to be is what's it called? The next Messi, right? Why you laughing? Why you laughing? Nah. What's so funny, right? And right, and win the World Cup. That's it.
Wherever life takes me.
I'm not sure 100%, but I know definitely in the medical field, I want to go far and do. For me, I want to become a lawyer, but yeah, I'm still like deciding though. But I'm like kind of a little focused on lawyering and stuff like that. But yeah, I got a lot of work to do.
I want to become a pediatrician because like medicine is like really interesting. So I will be a pediatrician. Thank you.
Hello. Can you hear me? All right. So something I want to do similar to him, I want to play soccer professionally. But since I'm at a huge disadvantage because people that are my age have been playing since they were like little. So I have to work a lot harder so I can get to where I want to be.
Breakthrough, contracts.
When I grow up, what I want to be is the next Vene Jr.
Who's that?
A soccer player.
When I grow up, I want to be a doctor.
When I grow up, I want to be a judge.
A judge? Forget the law, judge. Auntie Doreen, when you grow up, what do you want to be? What does the baby boy want to be? Oh, she wants to be a grandma. That's what she said.
Hello. Okay. So I want to be a physician scientist.
Especially in Africa, there's this disconnect between biomedical research and then the clinical medicine. So I see myself blending the translational medicine in future.
Is it your passions or your job? Like what you want to do?
When I grow up, I'm currently in my field, so yeah. I'm an occupational health and safety specialist. Yeah. Yeah. What? Oh, so we do work with a lot of organizations to make sure they are up to compliance. We work with OSHA, CDC, and yeah.
I want to do, my passion is helping people, so I want to work with kids and pediatric nursing.
All right, so when I grow up, I'm trying to be a software architect. So I already finished learning HTML, C++, and Java. I just gotta learn Python now. So yeah.
My passion is also helping people, so I want to be an occupational therapist, God willing.
Like this. Okay, so honestly, I want to own a restaurant. I want to open my own restaurant. Yes, and also have my own cookbook.
I'm passionate about design, so I want to be a graphic designer. I also have a strong background in computer science, so maybe I'll like mix the two and be a web designer. We'll see.
I love kids and I love helping people, so I want to be a pediatric nurse practitioner.
To be honest, I'm kind of undecisive right now, but my passion is to serve others. I have a background in psychology and pharmacy, so I want to be in the medical field. Maybe it's like, I'm not too sure, but yeah. But I just know that I want to be in the medical field and just serving others, yeah.
Hey guys. I want to be a children's social worker, and I also want to open my own business. I'm not sure what yet.
I think we have one more person.
I say it's shy, but she wants to be a firefighter. Kill all the fires in breakthrough. Okay.
We have one more person.
I want to do software engineering, and I want to get into the. I want to do. I want to be an actor as well. Tight, you know. Oh, and I also want to get into real estate too. So I want to be a real estate agent, you know.
Hi guys, I'm Shy. I want to be a chief financial officer for any company, and then I want to start my own business, but I don't know where yet. And I also want to be a real estate agent.
She trying to copy me.
Whatever.
One more to go.
Yes, Baba, when you grow up, what do you want to be?
Oh, me, I'm already there.
No. Come on, please. Baba, come. Give them both microphones.
When I grow up, I just wanted to be everybody over there. I want to be like you guys. Seriously.
Can't be all of us.
Hey, na want to move. Oh, today.
Do you want to be a midwife?
Hey, Debbie.
Thank you, Macarius. I think you were about to say something, right? The conclusion thing.
All right, so this is the vote of thanks. So I'm thanking God, Pastor, and the panelists as we bring this night to an end. We would like to thank everyone who dedicated their time and efforts into making this event come to life. First, we would like to thank God for bringing this into manifestation and all the guidance he has provided his children. Then, we would like to thank our pastor who has availed himself as one of the panelists. We would like to thank We would also like to thank all of our panelists, Reverend Godfrey Adua, Brother Gabriel, Sister Lydia, Sister Adriel, Brother Zaid, Sister Ziad, apologies, Sister Precious, Sister Melissa, Dr. Michael Asari, Brother Emmanuel, and Brother Joshua. Now for the closing prayer. Can we all bow our heads, please? Thank you. Oh, shall we all stand up and bow our heads, please? Thank you, Lord, for bringing us here safely, Lord. Lord, please help us to apply ourselves as we develop into adults, Lord. Please give us wisdom and understanding and discernment as we grow up in the name of Jesus. We give all the glory, we give all the honor. As we leave here, Lord, please surround us with your angels and cover us with the blood of Jesus so we can get home safely. In Jesus' mighty name that I pray, amen.
Amen. God richly bless you guys. We're back here tomorrow at 6 p.m. Amen. Tomorrow is Wednesday, and it's going to be our workers' rally. You don't want to miss this. This is